going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. What I wanted to talk about today was how regularly one should take rest days and how important they actually are for you. So I actually went to the chiropractor yesterday, and this was my first visit to a chiropractor ever. I've been to registered massage therapists. I've had that stuff done, but I've never actually been to a chiropractor that can crack and align and snap my neck and do all sorts of other crazy stuff. But I went yesterday, and I'm a little disappointed because I was going to take a photo or a video of actually what was happening, but I ended up leaving my phone across the room, and by the time I was actually going to reach out to go get it, I was already sort of laying down in the chiropractic bed, or whatever you want to call it, and she was actually putting in acupuncture needles into my shoulder, into the areas, the problematic areas. So the treatments I had yesterday, the first one was the acupuncture, which was pretty cool. It was like metal needles sort of going in different spots in my shoulder and in my bicep area here. My second treatment was, it was sort of like an electroshock type of thing, which activates the muscles. It was just basically pads that were attached to my shoulder, and then they were just sort of like causing my shoulder to, almost doing what I'm doing right now. So they were activating the muscle and basically causing sort of a contraction with the muscle. These electric pads, if you've ever seen Dr. Ho or anything like that, I mean, there's a bunch of different ads that you'll catch for people with these stupid ab belts and stuff like that. And they're supposed to help while you're sitting and working and you're just typing away, and then these things are supposed to be like shocking your stomach and contracting your muscles, which is supposed to give you a workout. I think those are complete bullshit, but this was pretty cool because she actually had this on with the acupuncture needles in my arm as well. So I had all these spikes sticking out my arm with these electroshock pads kind of shaking everything up. When I went to go get my camera, it was just too far, and I didn't want to kind of mess with anything that was going on there, so I just left it alone. But next time I will definitely take a photo and at least throw it up on my Instagram, because it was pretty cool looking. That was sort of my description to her of well, she was asking me if I was okay throughout the process. I told her I have somewhat of a high tolerance to pain, especially because I'm used to foam rolling myself, and especially with those rumble rollers I've mentioned before, they're pretty unforgiving, pretty ridiculous. So, when she was getting her thumb in there and really digging in, trying to get out certain knots, and when she was even just doing the cracking of my neck and stuff, I was just telling her I have somewhat of a high tolerance to pain, and it was just, I don't know, everything was pretty cool. I was pretty, it was a pretty neat experience. So after getting the acupuncture and the electroshock, those are the first two things I had done. The third one was actually the reason I went in there in the first place, which is ART, and that stands for Active Release Therapy. Really what it comes down to, or what it really is that it's almost like foam rolling. But you have an individual, or obviously a chiropractor would be doing this to you, or someone that's a registered sort of sports therapist type person. A lot of athletes get this done for rehab. But basically what they do is, for instance, she would move my arm in certain directions and ask me to sort of flex. All the meanwhile, she had her thumb digging into the areas where there were tension or knots. So it's almost, there's another name for it, and it's called Thai yoga massage. There's a few, I'm sure there's a few different names for it as well, but basically you're actively moving your arms and your joints and everything, and you're allowing the chiropractor or physiotherapist or whoever it may be to get in and access certain areas which they couldn't if you weren't moving around. So if you weren't flexing all over the place or stretching all over the place for her. What she did ask me as well during my session was if I stretch before my workouts, and I was telling her that I do active stretching pre-workout, which I typically do with a rubber band, and then I'll do static stretching post-workout. So active stretching really is stretching, almost what I'm doing right now. You can grab really light dumbbells and you can even just do this as a great warm-up, and it's kind of a method of active stretching. You're almost just increasing blood flow to the areas you intend to work, and I'm going to stop doing this, and you're actually stretching out those areas. So what I do is I get a rubber band and I sort of stretch it behind me, stretch it in front. I just keep the movement going. You don't want to hold the stretching position too long during active stretching. And typically I'll do this pre-workout. And then my post-workout routine is more of a static stretch. It's more of holding the positions, and even just foam rolling is a form of static stretching, because you're just sitting on the foam roller, or just laying on it and just letting it do its job and work those areas. So she was pretty impressed with my knowledge, I suppose you could say, and she actually questioned how I acquired the knowledge that I have, and how I knew what I was really talking about when I was going in there. And it's funny because I actually just told her, you know what, I sit in front of a screen all day, it's part of my job, and I just utilize that time as best I can. I actually made a video about that before, about making optimal decisions. I'll put the link in the description below if you want to have a look at that, because you know what, I may have even made a couple of videos on it. But making optimal decisions and using your time to research anything you have, really, anything of interest. So I mean, that's really what I do. So I try to make my optimal decisions in terms of my health and fitness, and then I just research as much as I possibly can to have a better understanding of it, because, you know, health is really important, obviously. So what I really wanted to get at in the main topic of today's video wasn't necessarily my chiropractic session, which was, you know, pretty funky, pretty cool, but it was taking rest days. Now, I haven't taken a rest day in about 2 to 2.5 weeks. So my first rest day was yesterday after my appointment. I feel a little odd whenever I take a rest day, and I don't take them too often. It's almost like I'm being drawn into the gym, or I need to do some sort of physical activity. I can't just sit around and do nothing. I almost feel like it's like a mental thing. I feel like I'm losing my gains, or I'm just kind of like just being a slob and not really getting any physical, you know, exertion of my muscles, or you know, just in general. But sometimes you really do have to force yourself to sit down and take that rest day, and that's exactly what I did yesterday. I'm debating if I'm going to do one today as well, or I'm going to take a rest day today as well. I almost feel like I don't necessarily have to, but it's very important to take them now and then when you feel. It's really dependent on the individual and depending on the type of training you do. If you do very strenuous, if you push yourself to the limit, if you have high intensity training, which I usually aim to have, having a rest day at least once or twice a week is really important, in my opinion. I don't follow that advice all the time, but I'm going to start really trying to. I'm going to make that active effort. But let me know when you take your rest days. Leave it in the comment section down below. Like, what's your workout split? If you've got one, let me know. I mean, I'm wondering, do you hit the same muscle groups twice a week, or you know, once a week? I mean, what exactly do you do? Let me know. Leave it down below. I tend to hit the same muscle groups twice a week. I try to keep my workouts with high intensity. When I hit my legs, I do it once a week, but I do it extremely hard. I try to go to a one rep max. I usually stick around the 3 rep range. You know, it's rare I do the 1 rep max thing. It's kind of almost pushing myself unnecessarily. Usually I'll go up to or go down to 3 reps on whatever highest weight I can use, and that'll sort of be the end point of my workout. So I really do strength training in a sense. I try to keep in the low rep range. I don't usually go above 10. So that's pretty much it. Aside from that, I was going to I was considering going into the gym today if I don't take that rest day, which is unlikely. If I do go into the gym, I'm going to be keeping this on, which is actually a kinesiology tape, or an athletic tape. It was put on by the chiropractor yesterday. A lot of CrossFit athletes use this. A lot of Olympic athletes use this type of tape. What it's really supposed to do is draw attention, I guess, from your brain or your, you know, whatever. It draws attention to that particular area, and it's supposed to increase or promote blood flow to that area. From my experience so far, yesterday it felt pretty good having it on. You can keep it on for up to 3 days, or this particular one I keep on for up to 3 days. It's waterproof, so you know, I can shower with it. I basically was going to try it out today in the gym if I do go in, and see how much of an improvement I notice, or if I notice an improvement at all. If I do, I'll let you know in the next video, but that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about. So let me know when you take your rest days. Let me know if you've tried out one of these athletic tapes or kinesiology tapes, because they're pretty cool. I might actually consider picking one up myself. And you know what? It hasn't peeled off. It's stayed on pretty consistently, at least over the past 24 hours. So that's it. Leave it in the comment section down below. Otherwise, have yourself a great Thursday and take care.